Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Whole Health Weekly on our In the Prize Inside podcast. So hopefully you guys are having a great night. We just got some good, there's a big storm cloud coming through, but it looks like it's going to be nice for the rain. Some exciting stuff tonight. I got some good information, some good articles and things. So found a new little tool that I can use to really look into chiropractic research as well. So I'm very pumped about that. Sorry about the later night. I think I'm going to try for this 7:30. If you guys like this time frame, it might work even better because I think 7:30-ish, I can make sure my kid cracks me up. You know how summer is. You get these different things they want to do. And she's like doing this tennis, and we, of course, misread the instructions, so we're waiting out. It's going to start pouring. And then we look at the schedule, and she had some tennis stuff. She was like, hopefully to get some practice in, and found out it was for the younger kids. So we were like laughing about that because we were like, that's the Myers way. You should read the entire schedule before you do anything. But tonight I wanted to go over, so this is episode 25 already. I can't believe that. So episode 25. So we go over principle number 25 in chiropractic. So chiropractic has 33 chiropractic principles we go by. And a lot of times they're good. They're insightful. They kind of help you get in a good direction as far as all that goes. I'm like looking at my, okay. I'm sorry. I was like, what is happening? I got like toothpaste on me. Okay. So anyway, we're going to go through principle number 25 tonight. And then we're going to go into a couple of cool things that were on the intranet this week. So So with that said, let's go into principle number 25. So these are the 33 chiropractic principles. These were in 1927, these were written. So, and they're still as good today as they were back then. Okay. So they just have some wording differences. 1927. So think about that. That's pretty awesome. Almost 100 years old now, right? So, okay. So the principle, okay. So principle number 25 is the character of innate forces. The character of innate forces. Remember, there's innate intelligence. Innate intelligence is the intelligence. We call that. That's what we call the intelligence within your cells of your body, the physical manifestation of the cells of your body. We call universal intelligence nature. So think of nature like gravity. Gravity is an intelligent. It's an intelligent force that's put on you on this earth to make sure things function properly, right? So innate intelligence is, think of your heart beating and you don't have to think about it. Think of you breathing and you don't have to think about that, right? The blood flow, all of these things are your body's proven intelligent forces within you. Okay, so that's kind of in a nutshell. I don't want to go through all 33 principles, but if you want to, if you watch all the Whole Health Weeklies 1 through 25, in the beginning, you can like listen to each one. Okay. So this one's called the character of innate forces. So the forces, the energy that the innate intelligence uses. The forces of innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structures in which they work. Okay. So what that tells you is that the innate intelligence, our consciousness, our intelligent energy, it utilizes the energy to make a better product. It may make a system. That's why a good example is, unfortunately, we're going to bring this up, but like a cancer cell has an innate intelligence within it, and it will continue to grow, right? And so that's one of the things that happens. And you have these innate intelligence. One of my favorite topics, I want to go back into it, but the biofield. So the biofield around us, it's like 5 feet around us, and it's literally our energy field. That's why like EMFs, electromagnetic frequency radiation, those kind of things affect us so much, is because we have this energetic biofield. A lot of times think of chakras. Chakras are a good study point for a lot of those different things. They kind of, I want to say they hammer that down as far as like making it new age versus religion, but they're real. And like, regardless of what you think, if I always tell people, if religion and new age chakras understood each other, where the studies of, the studies of, a higher power, a consciousness came together with the new age, the chakra ability, I think you would see the actual truth of things. Sometimes I really, really believe that. So anyway, so the chakras, or where was I going with that? So that's innate intelligence. So innate intelligence has a lot of these different things. So this tells you that it creates a force. That force, let's use an example, energy. You have food that comes in, your body's innate intelligence breaks that food into as small units as it possibly can, breaks that into energy, then energy and nutrients you can use from that food, right? So then it takes all of that, utilizes each and every piece, right? And so it's pretty amazing, to think about that. But the innate intelligence will then, intelligently tell the body to create this process to make what they call ATP, right? And a few other things. We talked about it last week. If you want to go back, NADH, right? That's part of the energy chain, essentially. And so these are different processes that your body will actually literally produce. And then the innate intelligence of this body will use it for energy. So what it's saying is, it uses exactly what it needs to all the time, and it will produce exactly how much energy it needs, or that kind of thing. The way cells get destroyed, this comes to this other thing, right? So we know, okay, so if innate intelligence is perfect, it makes cells all the time. Why do things happen to the cells, and now all of a sudden we don't have perfect cells? It's because there's lack of communication, right? Lack of communication, or an altering of the communication patterns within our matter that create dis-ease. So it creates a disconnection between this innate intelligence and the matter, if that makes sense. So now I like using the radio station that you're getting instructions off of, and that you can't hear it because it gets all fuzzy because the connection isn't good, right? The antenna is not picking up the signal. So sometimes that I would be called dis-ease, and that's where disease comes from. Okay. So what your job is as a human is to create a better communication pathway, the best possible environment for your body to be in perfect communication through great thoughts, staying away from toxins, and getting out of as little trauma as you can, and recovering from that trauma. So it's thoughts, toxins, trauma. Okay. So remember that as we go. That was principle number 25. Pretty awesome. Okay. So I wanted to bring up 2 tonight. So as we go into this, I got some good articles we're going to go through. But the first one is always TikTok news. So I use TikTok as I have my office manager. She gets on there a lot. So tells me what's trending in the health space. And so hers was, let me look this up. She always just texts me right before. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so we're going to go over healthy liver. Things that you can do to detox your liver, and supplements you can take to help fatty liver. Those things are coming across her TikTok almost multiple times every day. Now, why we do this is to make sure that you guys have some good knowledge out there. Well, just so happens, I'm going to put it in the comments. I was like so excited about this. Guess what I talked about on Sunday night? They're called choleretics and cholagogues. It's a class of herbs that actually stimulate your liver and gallbladder situation. All right. So I'm going to let me get on there. Let's see if I can do it. Share. Did I copy that? Okay. And then I'm going to put it in the chat. And this will give you also a chance to subscribe to the Rumble or the YouTube or the podcast. Okay. So I got to make sure. So we're going to go through. I'm going to give you the prize inside on Rumble. That's a really good spot because it kind of breaks down each and every video. I really like how it's organized and what you can see in each one. If you're not familiar with Rumble, we are on YouTube. Just look up Jeremy Myers and you'll probably find it. I think it's under Jeremy and Rachel right now. I probably should change the name of the channel, but I haven't done that yet. For fear, if we ever get into that censorship thing, YouTube would be fantastic. I'm just worried some of the health stuff I talk about could potentially, it hasn't happened yet or anything, but yeah, so I want to give you guys the Rumble channel. So this is my actual channel. I'll put that in the chat as well. All right. Okay. So that's a good thing. Get on there, subscribe. I'm at 40 subscribers, which I'm pretty pumped about. I'm really loving, though, honestly. I love the podcast. I am a huge podcast listener. Love them. I think I can digest so much more information sometimes. It's pretty incredible what we have access to nowadays. But here is the Rumble, or here is the podcast. So, Yep. Okay, perfect. If you want to, it's in all those forms. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, it's all on all those. Really cool that I've actually figured out how to do all this stuff. It's this one streaming platform. You can do so many. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Anyway, so those are all the advertising pieces. So let's go into some cool articles and the new trends of this week. I'm sorry. So let's talk about the liver for a second. So the liver, that's going to be a big one. And when you go into that video, a lot of the choleretics and cholagogues, they start, and we talk a lot about a few different things. There's an herbal situation called the bitters. Okay, so bitters are something, it kind of initiates digestion. So bitters, like dandelion, there's alcohols. Italians use, you can go to the alcohol store and get an actually organic bitter, and it's a little tiny alcohol that they would actually ingest prior to doing pasta. Right. And so it's a very, very traditional, old school way to get your digestive process kind of stimulated, so that when you eat, a lot of times that the process of digestion is going already. Right. Back in the day, they really did actually do a much better job of eating and preparing for that meal, those kind of things. Some other ones, berberine is another good one for choleretics and cholagogues. Now, what I say in the video many times, if you go that direction, just make sure you're pregnant, breastfeeding, all those things. Don't just do it, right? This one, you want to make sure you got some doctors, making sure if you're on heavy medication or something, just make sure you're, make that as a thing. Okay. So these kind of herbs, they're very powerful. And to be honest with you, a lot of the medicines that we take really hammer and beat up on the liver and gallbladder and kidneys. That's why we have so many gallbladder issues, right? Gallbladder is actually a liver problem too, guys. So just remember that. Because the gallbladder is a nice detox organ, gallbladder works in conjunction with that. And so if there's something wrong with that, and a lot of times our liver works a lot. It works in a ton of processing because we eat so much toxic junk. It's crazy. Have you ever heard? So in the liver, I heard this from a nurse practitioner once, and I was like, I always thought, so if anybody, give me a thumbs up if you've had surgery and they asked you if you smoked. Well, if you smoke, they ask you now, if you go in for surgery, they want you to not have smoked for, I think it's 3 months or 3 weeks or something like that. And I always thought it was, okay, well, they wanted a better end result of their surgeries. They wanted to make sure everything's maintained and all those kind of things. Well, then I found out that's kind of the reason. That's a good reason to quit smoking before surgery. However, that's not the actual reason. The actual reason is because when you smoke, your liver is detoxing that material, the smoke and everything, and it's running think about a car with the wheels not on the ground, and it's in fifth gear, and somebody's pushing, the gas going. So that's how your liver's running, all the time, every time you smoke. So what the problem is that if somebody was going under or going under, they knock you out to go, go into the surgery, the people that were smoking were burning through the stuff that knocked you out, whatever the chemicals they used to put you to sleep in the anesthesia. You would burn through it faster than anybody else, and they would have people wake up in the middle of surgery. And that's one reason they definitely started going, no, you got to be able to, quit smoking for 3 to 6 months. And so that's one of the things that happens, because your liver is this giant detox organ. The best advice I can give you, the liver detoxes are great, but if you're going to go back and eat in the garbage, right, that you were eating prior, or alcohol or all those things, then the liver detox is kind of it's great at the moment. It's kind of like exercising and then going to the donut shop, right? It's that kind of scenario. We want to make sure if we do a liver detox, you have a plan after. Okay. There are some good ones out there. Actually, Rachel had a drink that she found that are fantastic. Now you're going to feel like crap because, it's part of your digestion. So your stomach could get upset in there. but that is a very big, the liver detox. Looking at those choleretics and cholagogues, very good way to do it. Looking at gut microbiome, making sure that your gut health is up there. That's another really good way to do the liver. We're starting to understand how to do that and protect that liver a lot better. Okay. Thinking in herbal terms, I would say one of the best ways to do it without, beating yourself up too bad in a detox for your liver or gallbladder would be one of those things called the adaptogens. Okay. So the adaptogens are the herbal category that allows it kind of affects and stimulates and helps all the organ systems of your body. So adaptogens are pretty good and they're really safe. So it's a lot of times a good starter. A good example is ashwagandha that you hear about. I like astragalus as well. So those are two. One that no one thinks about that I always thought was cool, dandelion tea. Dandelion tea got me into herbalism and understanding what herbalism was, is because dandelion tea was so effective for liver and gallbladder. So those are some things that just remember, as we go. Okay. So enough of that. Let's go look at the trends of the week and see what we got. See if there's anything good out there. All right. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. So we talk a lot of times in each week, we've been talking about tech wellness, right? So like health wear, these wearables, tons of different things, the Apple Watches, those kind of things. One of the things that is very scary in a way, though, is there's two things that are happening with these wearable devices. One, it's the biofield that I told you about. The biofield I told you about gets interrupted. No matter what you say, it gets interrupted. Okay. Or what you feel, it does. So it's really smart to not wear it at all the time, right? I don't mind you doing it in different things like working out or, those kind of things. But sometimes the wearable technology, you got to understand it's reading you. It's sending signals through your body. And so a lot of times not wearing it all the time can be a problem. The other one is anxiety. I had a patient this week. She'd been watching her. Well, so you have these blood pressure cuffs that are from the the pharmacy or whatever. And what was happening was she didn't feel good, so she decided to take her blood pressure. Well, then she saw the blood pressure and it was really, really low. So it kind of panicked her. Well, what happened was she started reading her blood pressure every 2 hours, right? And your blood pressure is going to fluctuate. Okay. So what happened though is that she caused herself a major anxiety attack where it spiked her blood pressure up. And then she was thinking something was really wrong with her. And then she goes in and finds out everything's clear. It's very concerning because when you're by yourself and you don't understand, the physiology of things, that can be a thing. So we walked through that and she's feeling pretty good about it now. But yeah, if you check that thing all the time, you can cause yourself quite a bit of anxiety from that. So remember that as the tech gets better, it's going to be tougher. So one of the things that people are doing is non-tech ways, right? So that's what this trend was saying. So it's called anti-tech for whatever. Anti-tech and wellness community workouts. While technology drives many trends, there's a push for anti-tech wellness, with consumers using apps to manage screen time and opting in for in-person experience like urban saunas, group workouts. These foster social connection and motivation. So their idea of tech also is, just getting an app on your phone or a video or, work from home or work out from home, which they all are great options. I seriously recommend doing as a group. If our biofield is 5 feet apart and we're in a group setting in energy in exercise, you're going to get better results. There's no doubt about it. Now, I am a hermit, and because I hang out with people all day. And so for me, working out by myself is not a bad thing, right? It just depends on your environment. If you're with people all day, then work out on your own. It's not a problem. I worked out tonight. It was a pretty interesting workout. So it's one of these where it forces you to rest. Woo! It was pretty good. So anyway, but if you're in a space where you're by yourself while you're working or you don't have a ton of people, get in a group setting. You can really, really gain some major results that way. Okay. So just remember that everything doesn't have to be technology, right? And the technology is going to be there and it'll be pretty cool. Like once we get rolling. So that was a good one. All right. Let's go into, and then the rest of it, I think we've covered in most things. I want to go through one that's kind of trending. And maybe it's just because I age related in my office, though. Hormones for women. So in the herbal world, we've been talking about a lot at the office this week. So I'll tell you the trend. There's women are finding some good luck with herbals and menopause. Okay. So menopause, those different symptoms that are very severe. You have hot flashes, you have all these different kind of situations. But one of the herbals that has been really effective is called the chase tree berry. So it's chase tree, chaseberry. It's also called Vitex. Okay. So Vitex is the other name of it. And so a lot of times those two, or it's the same one, it's the same supplement, but it is a really, really nice tea tincture. If you know somebody, suffering with that menopause thing, this is a good place to start. Okay. Because there's a lot of out there on that. The other one I want to bring up that it's a little more controversial that we'll talk about tonight, that I'm a little more angry about, is her GLP-1 situation. So I won't bring up any names of different situations, but most of you know there's a very big diet drug that's out there currently. They are in the moment of changing the names of things. So I know how this works now. I watched them do it with high fructose corn syrup. When they know something's bad, but they're profiting, unfortunately, they're going to start using different tactics of their own accord to go, well, if we rename it, maybe they won't notice. Okay. So now this certain GLP-1 hormone that we need and we're desperately needing to produce, that this drug replaces. And so when it replaces that hormone in your body, it causes some major problems. That's why you end up on this drug forever, or you're going to gain the weight back. They've started to use different names, and I won't use them now, but I can give you the diagnoses. Some people are saying it helps with sleep apnea. So, and because if you get diagnosed with sleep apnea, they can give you this weight loss drug. Okay. And that's just understand what you're getting into. It was made for a specific thing. Type 2 diabetics, like severe type 2 diabetics. It was not meant for people that weren't diabetic at all to lose weight. Okay. Once we do that, you cause yourself some major, major issues. And so just it's a fair warning. They're starting to change the name of this. So when you hear, oh, this, maybe a doctor tells you, oh, well, it can help with, eye itching, but it just happens to make you lose weight, right? Be smart, be a good patient, and understand what it does. Okay. If it's saying, oh, it replaces your GLP-1, it's the same thing. It's just they've renamed it. Okay. Because you don't want the side effects of that. There's a lot there. Okay. So that's a little soapbox, but I will go on from there. Okay. So now let's go into my favorite website man that writes a ton of cool stuff, Dr. Mercola. Dr. Mercola has some good articles. Okay. So this one we're going to talk about because magnesium has become such a good supplement, I want to kind of walk through some things. There's 7 types of magnesium and how they improve your health and the things that occur. So that's the title. So 7 types of magnesium and how they improve your health. This is by Dr. Mercola. Magnesium deficiency is widespread, despite its role in 600 plus bodily functions. Modern farming has depleted soil minerals, and most people absorb only about 30% to 40% of their dietary magnesium. So that's one reason why you got to do that. Different forms of magnesium target specific health needs. Glycinate, so this is magnesium glycinate for sleep and anxiety. Magnesium malate for energy. Magnesium citrate for digestion. Magnesium threonate for brain function, and magnesium taurate for heart health. So each type of magnesium gives you a different specificity, which is it's fascinating that one thing can do that. I've been just blown away by how magnesium works. Now, most of the time you're going to get it commonly, magnesium is magnesium citrate, super cheap, all those things. Kind of causes some diarrhea kind of situation. So you got to watch that. Sometimes that it's not a bad thing sometimes if the diarrhea goes away. However, if it stays, then citrate might not be your one that you want to take. But so remember that. I'll go through them again. Magnesium glycinate is for sleep and anxiety. Magnesium malate for energy. Magnesium citrate for digestion. This newest one is called magnesium threonate for brain function, and magnesium taurate for heart health. Okay. And so here we'll continue with the article. Common magnesium-rich foods like nuts and seeds aren't recommended because they contain inflammatory linoleic acid, which worsens metabolic health. Magnesium deficiency contributes to serious health issues, including insulin resistance, high blood pressure, poor glucose control, and mitochondrial dysfunction. Supplementation strategies matter, determining your ideal dose using magnesium citrate. Once your dose causes loose stools, dial it back. Then switch to L-threonate, glycinate, or malate based on the symptoms that you're having. Okay. That is a cool article. Hopefully you got some good stuff out of that. So magnesium is a big thing. And so what they're saying is take that magnesium citrate. It's cheap. You can get it anywhere. Get it up to the certain dose and kind of see, okay, how much do I need? Because now all of a sudden you'll have diarrhea, right? Because citrate will do that to you. And then dial it back until you don't have the diarrhea. Okay. And then from there, look at the list. If you got headaches, then you start taking magnesium threonate at that gram level, right? Or microgram level, whatever it is. If you have anxiety, then take glycinate, right? So that's the kind of malate for, or was it malate for sleep? If I said that right. Glycinate, I'm sorry, for sleep and anxiety. Malate for energy, right? And then taurate for heart health. And they're all one thing. Magnesium. So cool. And the more we know about this, the better off we'll do. And it's pretty cool to see. The biggest thing is understanding that you can take too much magnesium. That's a key factor in what we're talking about tonight. Because if you take too much magnesium, then it starts competing with other, what they call trace minerals. And you don't want to do that. Okay. So you want to take just enough magnesium to really start making an effect. All right. So hopefully you like that one. That one to me was an awesome article on magnesium. Okay. I really like this other one. Let's do this one next because I think it's really cool. Okay. So why your scalp microbiome matters and how to keep it healthy. So remember, we have microbiomes all over our body. Last week, I think we talked about from Dr. Mercola, the skin microbiome, right? Our actual skin microbiome and how to keep that healthy, not, rubbing in a bunch of different lotions, making sure those lotions have good organic pieces to it, good energy to it, right? So we want to make sure our skin microbiome is always constantly in there. Today, we're going to talk about scalp microbiome, which is interesting because you probably have never heard of that. You only hear microbiome typically, with your gut, but we have bacteria all over the place. Unfortunately, for those people that get creeped out from the bugs, that's how it works. Okay. Your scalp, and this is by Dr. Mercola as well. Your scalp hosts a dense microbial ecosystem that protects against inflammation and disease. When disrupted, it can lead to flaking, itching, thinning hair, and inflammatory scalp conditions like seborrheic dermatitis. The scalp microbiome is dominated by key bacteria, and they even have the names of them. One's called Cutibacterium acnes and Staphylococcus epidermis. These microbes help protect your skin barrier, managing inflammation and regulating harmful organisms. Scalp dysbiosis can be triggered by overwashing, harsh shampoos, excessive oil production, and even genetic factors like hair density or dandruff-prone skin. These disrupt the balance of good and bad microbes. Dandruff is actually linked to reduced microbial diversity and fungal overgrowth. Studies show healthy scalps have more protective bacteria, while dandruff-prone scalps are overrun with inflammatory microbes like Malassezia restricta and something else called Globus, something crazy bacteria names. Okay. Long-term relief comes from restoring beneficial microbes, not just killing fungi. Using microbe-safe natural products, avoiding daily shampooing, which is kind of interesting, and consuming foods that promote the growth of probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics are effective ways to rebalance your scalp naturally. Okay, so in my world, I was a pretty big dandruff kid. It was and it causes you anxiety as a kid. You're worried about it. You don't know what to do about it. So you get the dandruff-proof shampoos and, you do those and they actually work, especially as a kid. The problem is you're not fixing the problem, right? So you're just kind of backing off on that. Once you understand, you go to these organic shampoos and those things that kind of enhance and stimulate that scalp microbiome, which I really believe, in a lot of these microbiome situations, I think we're just on the cusp of understanding. So you're going to see some really good products come out, I think, in our future, enhancing that. And especially when people start understanding if that's the issue in dandruff, people are going to, make a big deal. Now, I always add, because I went to to almost or probably zero for a really long time, probably have once in a while. Maybe I still have those issues. I don't know, because it's not as big a deal to me as anymore, because it just doesn't happen as often. But dandruff really, in my experience, got better with me when I fixed my gut microbiome. And I started doing multivitamins, on a regular basis. And so as a college kid, you really don't do it. You kind of you hem and haw about it. But then I started giving my body the essential nutrients and understanding, the crap food that we were eating and changing that, and then understanding gut microbiome, started doing probiotics, prebiotics. That started initializing and making sure that my gut, which is kind of your epicenter of your gut microbiome. Your gut microbiome is like your brain of your microbiome overall. Okay. You have all this microbiome overall, and it has to expand out from different areas. So right now, your gut is kind of the heart of all that. So once you make that correct, then a lot of times some of your hair situations will start changing. Okay. So you're probably, your hair will feel better, those kind of things as well. A lot of people reach out for, the supplement biotin, but if your gut microbiome's messed up, are you going to get the biotin you need to get that hair kind of going in the right direction? So I think that's an important one for all of us to understand, because there's a lot of people that struggle in that field. You're talking, like they said, it could be hair loss. You can have patches. You can have, like inflammation that goes on within the hair, right? And it on the scalp. So these are things to really, really pay attention to in the gut microbiome. All right, where'd I go? So just remember this from this article. We want to restore those beneficial microbes. Use microbiome safe natural products. So start looking that up for your hair products. Avoid daily shampooing, which makes sense if we need to do that. So we don't want to do too much. I just had this conversation this week too. Too much cleaning can be a very bad thing. And consuming foods that promote growth of probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics. That's how you can, restore your gut microbiome your microbiome of your scalp naturally. Okay. So that was a good article. I like that one. All right. Do you guys hear that? I think my corgi has sleep apnea. I can hear her snoring. She may need a one of them CPAP machines. I might have to come up with a dog CPAP machine. Okay. So this next article is modern studies support the benefits of this ancient herb. And this is Dr. Mercola again. So I really like this one. Tulsi, or holy basil, has been used for over 3,000 years in Ayurvedic medicine. I'm trying to think. This is more your Indian Chinese medicine, I would say. Don't quote me on that, but Ayurvedic is a very big herbal science, or I would call it like it's a medicinal practice that's fantastic. They use a lot of different energies, all kinds of stuff. So holy basil is what this is called, Tulsi. And it's been used in Ayurvedic medicine to treat infections, fevers, respiratory conditions, and promote overall vitality and balance. Modern studies show that holy basil, or Tulsi, supports stress recovery, lowers cortisol, improves memory, and boosts focus, with noticeable benefits in just weeks of consistent use. Very good for your high stress environment. You're going through things of anxiety and those kind of things. Tulsi or holy basil can be a really good option. And that's kind of been known for a long time. Tulsi, this is an interesting part of this article, though. Tulsi, or holy basil, helps shield your body from toxic exposures like pesticides, radiation, and heavy metals by activating antioxidant enzymes and supporting liver detox pathways. So that's one reason I wanted to bring it up, because if liver's liver detoxes are in there, holy basil could be one of the big things. Tulsi supports immune health by improving the macrophages. Remember what the macrophage, they're the cells of the immune system. One of the many cells of the immune system, macrophages. It helps improve natural killer cells and immune signaling, which is like the communication pathways of the immune cells. And even under high stress and chronic inflammation, it can support that immune health. You can reap the benefits of drinking holy basil tea, which actually we have some. We got it at actually a pot. It's a cool, you can get them now. It's like organic. It almost tastes like a pop almost. And they're really, really, they're pretty good. So people are coming up with that. So anyway, so you can reap the Tulsi tea or taking supplements, but make sure you take caution if you're taking medications, pregnant or breastfeeding, unless you have a healthcare provider. So taking it as a tea, if you want to try it, that's the way to go. If any other way, make sure there's no breastfeeding, pregnant, or taking medications. Okay. But you can see if it helped that it's a very big immune system, kind of recharges, re-energizes, gets you in this parasympathetic mode. Very, very good overall, which is cool because a lot of that has been studied for thousands of years, but now the studies and understanding. But if you heard one of the last things, it helps with the liver detoxification. So if you take a Tulsi tea, holy basil tea, you can actually help that digest it. Same with dandelion tea. That's another one that can help with your gut or your liver as well. Okay. All right. So let's go on to. Oh, wait. Yeah. Let's go on to one. No, I got 15 minutes left. I think that was good. I think those are the ones I found that were up our alley, I would say. And the other ones, there's a lot of top news. So you'll understand tonight, I'm never going to be into the doom and gloom ones unless I see a serious concern. Okay. So many things on all social media platforms, their goal is to create fear so that you'll watch and subscribe more. I'm hoping you get knowledge and then you watch and subscribe more just based on the knowledge piece. That's honestly what I want. And I'm going to grow this sucker one person at a time. And hopefully it's good enough knowledge where you guys really get something, because I get something out of this each and every time. I can't tell you how many times, one of the articles that we talk about tonight kickstarts me in thinking in a different way. Okay. And so that's what I like, but I try to stay away from the big, heavier articles that are just there for fear porn. Okay. So it's the way to get views and stuff, but it's not the way to really teach, my people, my 1% tribe people that take the time. I'm up to like 53 views a video on Rumble. I'm pretty excited about that. And we broke the mark of 3,000 podcast listeners too. So I get excited about that. But okay. So let's go into the last thing. And I found a really cool place where I can find the newest stuff on chiropractic. Okay. So like chiropractic research and what they found. Okay. So we'll end it with that and then see how you kind of liked it, how they like that flow. All right. Okay. This one's pretty cool. So this one's 2025. And this one is in a study published in Chiropractic and Manual Therapies explored how they call it. I hate the words, so they call it spinal manipulative therapy, which is a chiropractic adjustment, influences biochemical markers, particularly inflammatory ones like interleukins, which is an immune cell, and cortisol. Cortisol is that stress hormone that we talk about a lot. The findings suggest some evidence that it can create. Findings suggest evidence that the adjustment may produce and reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines, and afterwards could explain some of the pain relief mechanisms in the conditions of chronic low back pain. But it's a small section because chiropractic we don't have $2 billion to throw at different research studies like some do. Some certain things they just throw 50 million and they get like a ton of research done. Chiropractic has to work slower because we don't have that kind of money just to throw at research projects. And until the research actually comes around to looking for science where, like if they really wanted to do it right, money shouldn't be the issue, but there's evidence that it reduces the pro-inflammatory. So it gets rid of inflammatory markers. The cells do, like the cells that cause inflammation reduce, and the good ones that get rid of inflammation kick up. That's pretty cool. So, and I always love that. Let me see. So chiropractic in the takeaway is chiropractic adjustments may, just based on this, may modulate inflammation, but more research is needed, obviously. So that was a cool one. I just want to keep you up on all this. Okay, a cost-effective of chiropractic. Let's see if we want to do that one. You guys know it's cost-effective, I hope. Oh, okay. Yeah, we should know this. Okay. because this one I've known for a long time, but now they've done an actual study on it. Okay. A systemic review of chiropractic and manual therapies. This was the best article of the year by the journal's editorial board. It compared the cost of chiropractic care versus medical management for adults with spine-related musculoskeletal pain. So low back, anything that had to do with your spine pain. The study found that patients who consulted a chiropractor as their initial provider had significantly lower downstream healthcare costs, with reduced need for imaging, injections, and emergency department visits. So the takeaway is chiropractic care is a more cost-effective frontline option for spine pain that and aligning with non-drug guideline recommendations. So the science is out there. It's been there for a little while that, hey, we should be your number one stop. And then from there, you start moving on to the higher end ones, the drugs and, those kind of things. All right. Okay. Let me look. I'm just looking at ones that we like. Ooh. Or ones you might be interested in. Okay. So chiropractic and opioid reduction. I like this one. This one's in 2025. This one's the Journal of Internal Medicine. So this one is not just a chiropractic one. So this one's the Journal of General Internal Medicine. Analyzed data from 128,377 veterans with low back pain. It found that those who received chiropractic care had significantly lower likelihood of needing opioid prescriptions with initial chiropractic visits, linked to a 90% reduced odds of early and long-term opioid use. Holy smokes. I'm going to highlight this. Sorry, guys. I'm going to take a minute to copy that. Boom. That is ridiculous. Okay. So 90%, that's pretty amazing. Okay. One of the reasons, okay, so we'll go into that real quick. One of the reasons when they introduce, so they call it in veterans world, there's this thing called community care. A lot of times chiropractic, they struggle to put chiropractors in veterans areas around our area, especially. Now they're getting a little better. They've got a couple, but the problem is like they need a lot more than that. And so where hope is these, what they call community care, which allow the vet to go to a chiropractor outside of there as well, will get better and better. Now it's been getting better and better from about 2016 on. Prior to 2016, a vet had to pay cash if they wanted to go to an outside chiropractor if the VA didn't have a chiropractor in there. Very troubling, very stupid. Okay. It's just the way it goes. 2015, it took them that long to figure this stuff out. I digress. So once they introduced it, that just proved it. 90% people. So if somebody gets adjusted, at 90% of the time, they're very unlikely to need a long-term opioid. Think about that. Opioids are addictive as crap. It's terrible for you. Isn't that wild? 90% of the time, if we just introduced the chiropractic thing. The limitation of that was they didn't have any coverage. These poor vets didn't know. You don't go, none of us go to a doctor, right? In the assumption that it's affordable. You don't know. A lot of times my chiropractic patients know it's not that bad, really. It's just a normal process of, like a gym membership essentially. But when you don't know, you're going to think thousands of dollars right off the bat. And we know it's not, right? But a vet's not going to know that. So why not give them access to care, right? And so I think they're working towards it. We will see. It got a lot clunkier lately instead of better. We were getting a lot of great referrals, and you're having a lot of positives from the vets, but we'll have to see, how that turns out for them. Ultimately, if you're a vet, you just show up, we are able to take care of you, and the VA would help that vet out, versus doing what they're doing now, which is kind of crazy in how it all works. So if you know a vet in your life and they use the VA, or even if they don't, you can actually tell them to go there and use community care or get chiropractic care. It's a benefit they get to have. So hopefully, if somebody listens to this and didn't know that, that is a big one. That is a big article I just read. So I'm really pumped right now. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's any good ones that stick out. Oh, well, and as we do this each week, right now, those are the two big ones. So that's the one. The rest are, there needs to be more research and blah, blah, blah. We've known that for years because we don't have $100 million to throw at something. Similar to like how drug companies sometimes do that. And maybe they'll run $100 million study like 2 or 3 times if they think the profit's going to be good enough, right? That's not a thing a chiropractor can do, right? Or a chiropractic profession. We're trying to get there. We're trying to like really hone in and study that stuff, but it's going to take the world kind of waking up. When you only have, 10% of the population, which is crazy, like use chiropractic, 10%. What we're panicked about is the amount of people we're seeing wake up to holistic and self-care and getting out of the sick care model and going into an actual healthcare model where you're actually taking care of yourself on a regular basis. When we see that, we're like, oh man, the population's getting awake to, wanting to do chiropractic care, wanting to do, exercises, daily routines, having those kind of resources available. I always think in terms of once our world understands that we can have so many different pieces of, what the stars have, right? So I was listening to, imagine that billionaire that gets they got a chef at home, they have a massage therapist, they have a personal trainer, they have all their things done for them. And in all honesty, when you're a billionaire, those are kind of your focuses, right? But why not make it a focus if you're not a billionaire? Just spend less. Maybe have a personal trainer you work with one time a year to get a good training going, and then meet with them at the end of the year, whatever that is, whatever you can afford, right? Instead of a private chef, there's companies that'll send you chef level ready-made food, right? For a small monthly thing. You don't have to cook, you just heat it up, right? And it's delicious for you. You don't have to be a chef if you don't want to, right? Get chiropractic care. Almost every insurance on the planet pretty much covers it at some point. And if not, it's affordable option all the time. So I hope tonight went good. I feel like it went pretty good in the articles. I got excited about a few of those. Don't forget about the magnesium thing. That's a big one. Go back and re-listen to the different ones. There's glycinate, threonate, malate, citrate. Citrate will be your first one. Remember to take that first to see what your tolerance level is. And then these other ones are very good. Magnesium threonate, if somebody has a migraine headache type situation, has been a game changer for a lot of people. So just remember that if you know somebody with migraines as well. Okay. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I got a good flow now to Whole Health Weekly, and I don't like to go over an hour. So we are hitting that mark right now. But remember, Sunday night, 1% Tribe. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet. I can't remember. I think we talked about an herb last time. So this time it will be an injury. If you have any joint of the body, any part of the body you want to go over, reach out to me. This is the week that we'll do that. You can chat it up in the chat below, or any of those things, and we'll bring it up as a topic. and then we'll see what we can do as far as breaking it down for a good understanding. So with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you later. See you on Sunday. Have a good one.